Hello, this is Kelly Hamon, and welcome to Resiliency Coach podcast. This podcast showcases people who have faced difficult times and how they got through it. These experiences are real and sometimes raw. Please be advised that these podcasts could trigger unresolved emotions. Please also be aware that the people who share their stories are here to tell you you're not alone in your struggle. They share the tools and resources they use in healing. If you're looking for solutions for getting through tough times, contact us at www.resiliency.coach. This is not medical advice. All opinions expressed by the interviewee are their own personal opinions and not necessarily those of Resiliency Coach. So today, I'm interviewing my friend, Kelly Carter, MD. She's the burnout expert, and Kelly is an emergency physician, life coach, helping with preventing and overcoming burnout for professional working moms. So Kelly, thank you so much for being my guest today and sharing your expertise and knowledge with us.
Kelly, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity.
So just out of curiosity, emergency physician, that means that what's the difference between a regular physician and an emergency physician?
So they're all different types of physicians. There are like internal medicine doctors who work in clinics and family medicine doctors. There are, general surgeons, plastic surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, ENT doctors, physical medicine and rehab physicians. So I work in the ER. That's my job. So I'm an emergency physician.
Wonderful. So why did you go into this area of expertise of helping and preventing and overcoming burnout for professional working moms?
Well, I'm sure you've heard this a lot from other coaches, but we typically coach what we once were. And I was once a very burned out working mom. And now I am a working mom who is dealing in a healthy way with burnout strategies. So I want to prevent other moms who are just at that overwhelmed state. They've worked so hard for their career and they love what they do, yet they feel like they might have to quit or cut back or give up on their dreams because they're having such a hard time managing their family life, their physical health, and they know that something has to give. And I really don't want them to give up on their careers because I feel that there are so many women with so much talent and the world needs every single one of them. And so I want to help them develop the skills that they need to better balance their work life and self and their health.
That's wonderful. Now, you said this is a personal journey. Can you share a little bit a part of that personal journey?
Sure. It is very common as a physician that you burn out a little bit a couple years after residency. You spend several years in school, always achieving. You have an upcoming test, you're passing this, you're moving on to this. You go through residency, it's all stages, and then you get out into residency or out of residency and into practice, and you realize that this is what you're doing for the next 20 plus years of your life. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. There's no one patting you on the back anymore. There are no more accolades to achieve. And you start to feel underappreciated and overworked, and at times, or many times, overwhelmed. So for me, I had two small children at home. We were remodeling our house, and it took 4 years of people in our house banging around all the time. I was working probably more than I should have been working, so many shifts, and I kept picking up more because the remodel was costing money and I was the sole income winner. So I was working extra hard and not really taking care of myself or my relationships. And I just needed a break, and I couldn't imagine how I could make that happen. How can I just not work? What would be the situation where I could just have a day off where no one needed me? I spent all day at work dealing with people. They tell me their complaints. Like, that's what I am asking them about. What's wrong today? And then I come home and I am handed my two small children by my husband, who's been dealing with them all day. And now I've got their complaints and their needs to be met, and never mine. And I was thinking, how do I just not have that anymore? And I would think about it frequently on the way into work. And eventually I started thinking about, well, how bad would I have to crash my car to get out of work? Like, I don't want to get hurt, but I don't want to work. Like, what would it take? And then I was thinking, well, would they take me into my ER where I work? And like these thoughts were just creeping in. And I knew that that was very, very unhealthy and that I needed to make a change. And I needed to stop picking up all these extra shifts. I needed to look at my life and realize what was it that I needed, that I was missing. And with my husband's help, we made some very significant changes with our lifestyle. I was able to keep my job, actually took leadership positions in a very healthy way, and was able to overcome the burnout so that when I was driving into work, I was actually a little bit more upbeat. When I'd come home, I would still have the energy to get down on my hands and knees and play with my kids and run around. And on my days off, I could enjoy them without stressing about work. And realizing that there is that option, I looked back at what I'd had and I just thought, oh my gosh, why didn't I do that sooner? And why didn't anybody ever tell me about this? It wasn't part of our training. I had my daughter in 2008, like really before a lot of social media and smartphones. And I just didn't know that there were resources out there. And now that there are, I want to make sure that I'm adding to that and supporting it and advocating.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. And I love that you're coming from your personal experience. You know what this feels like. You know the thoughts that go through people's minds that have gone through this extreme stress of taking care of other people continually and not being able to take care of your own needs. And I'm so glad that you could come on today to share those tools and resources with us so that we can learn too, that we can help ourselves as well as our friends, co-workers, or family members, or even children to avoid this. So thank you so much. This will be valuable information. So how does one go about preventing this? The steps, the process, or the tool?
I know that in my profession, it's almost inevitable. I don't know about every other profession. However, I would guess that anybody is at risk for this. So everybody should take preventive measures to really recognize when you might be feeling overworked, when you're not sleeping well, when you feel stressed all of the time, when your schedule that you look at is overwhelming. So anytime you have any of those signs where you're irritable, you're tired, you're fatigued, those might be signs that you're either overstressed or starting to lean towards burnout. And some steps that you could start to take is just reevaluating what is your current balance between work and life. And balance doesn't mean hours. I mean, we know that you're probably going to spend more hours at work than you are at home other than sleeping. It's really about value, how much value, the real emotional ties that you're getting when you're at home, like how much quality time are you having with your family, with your friends, with your faith, whatever it is that really fills you up, and make sure that you are at least equaling the amount of activities that fill you up versus the ones that drain you, if not exceeding. My goal would be to have you exceed and just be overflowing with your energizing activities each day, rather than the ones that are draining your energy. And not all work is draining your energy. We all went into our professions with dreams and hopes and goals, and reconnecting with why did you go into this? What is it that makes you happy? And looking for those little bits of evidence that, yes, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm good at. This is how I'm helping people. So looking for the real positives at work so that you can have your energizing activities there, and then really digging into that wonderful family life, friend life, faith life, whatever it is that you have at home that fills you up. So recognizing that balance needs to be there, I guess, would be the first step.
I like that, to have that overflowing. And women in particular have a problem with self-care, and to recognize that they need that overflowing. As a physician, tell us why we need that overflowing. What is it? If we don't, what do we risk?
Well, we definitely risk our health. 70 to 80% of all chronic illness is related to chronic stress. So this chronic illness are the things that you don't ever want to have a doctor tell you: cancer, diabetes, stroke, heart attack, high blood pressure, even dementia has been related to or associated with chronic stress. And chronic stress comes from not taking care of ourselves, from letting the emotional state of being stressed be in an overwhelmed state. It's normal to have stress. Like, we all need a little bit of stress to get us through our day. When you're driving on the road and somebody swerves in front of you, you need that jolt of the stress response to quickly move out of the way or slam on your brakes or whatever it takes. Like, that is normal stress. And we need that to motivate us, to move us quickly. We want that in our daily life, but we don't want the chronic stress of not sleeping well, of not eating well, of not exercising, of even negative emotions and negative thoughts contribute to your stress. So having all of those in your life are going to affect your health. And when you're not your healthiest, most vibrant self, that can bleed over into your family and relationship life. And then you can lose out on relationships, which are also a key to healthy, long life, is having these wonderful relationships. So we are risking a lot if we don't take care of ourselves.
And is there anything that you wanted to share more?
The 12 stages of burnout, like, it starts out where it seems totally normal. Like, the first one, you're like trying to prove yourself at work. And then the second stage, you're working harder, which, like, right, you're ambitious and you're trying to reach your goals, and that seems normal. And then the third stage is when you start neglecting your needs, which that's also like applauded in many professions, that you're like, oh, look at him, he's staying extra late. And we even do that. We send emails like, this person stayed until 5 a.m. Everyone, thank you to so-and-so who stayed extra to do all their work. So that all seems normal. And then it starts getting into things like social isolation, where you choose not to go out with your friends, and now you're not sleeping, and then your behavior changes, and you get your friends and family start to get worried, and that's stage 8. And it continues down to a feeling of inner emptiness, followed by depression, and then the full-blown burnout syndrome, which is where you truly need physical and mental help, where you're at high risk for something catastrophic like suicide. So yeah, those are the 12 stages of burnout.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's incredible. And that's very useful to know, because there may be people in any of those stages that may be listening or have gone through those stages. And you talked about reaching out to somebody in your advice, I believe. I remember you saying that. And would there be any other advice if somebody's going through any of those stages of burnout that you would give?
I truly think that as you're heading down that pathway, that you really do need someone else, some outside opinions and some outside eyes that can tell you, we need to make a change here, and here are some ways to do it. Because once you get into it, you've set up a pattern in your life, and it's really hard to break it. And having somebody else, whether it's a friend, a family member, a colleague, a coach, a mental health professional, a physician, somebody in your life who can then guide you back up so that you're not spiraling down. I think it really does take somebody else's help, unless you are that in tune with yourself that you can just say, okay, I'm going to dig into this. I'm going to find out what's wrong, and I will do this myself. And even if you're doing that, I think you should find an accountability partner to say, okay, somebody's going to help make sure that I'm not neglecting my needs, and that I am going on social outings, and that I'm not developing these worrisome habits. So I think that really reaching out, having somebody, is going to be one of the keys to ending your burnout.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I like that, having the accountability partner. If you're not wanting to go to a professional counselor, but definitely recommend to go to somebody professional. But if you're not going to do that, to at least have an accountability partner where they can say, hey, did you take a nap today? Did you take a bath today? Did you take a weekend off? and make sure that you're doing things for yourself, self-care. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. And how can we teach our friends, coworkers, children to do this, to take care of themselves and to prevent this burnout?
It is through example. We need to be the example of self-care. And I see this a lot when I talk with women and moms and other physicians about boundaries, where they're worried to tell their kids, no, I really need this 5 minutes to myself to complete my meditation or to do yoga if the kids aren't joining you in yoga. And what that teaches your children is not that you're not available to them, but that it's okay when they need their 5 minutes to calm themselves down, when they need 5 minutes of self-care. And so being that example and then sharing it. If you have friends who are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed and stressed, and maybe they're overwhelmed about mealtime, sit down with them and say, hey, what recipes are you using? Let's get together and do recipes together. Or just share anything that's been working for you. And I always feel like a healthy home starts with a healthy mom. So if you can do anything to incorporate into your daily activities of healthy habits, and show that your children that these are healthy habits, and have your spouse join in, and soon you have a whole family of healthy habits and less stress and less chance for burnout.
Great advice. If somebody was sitting right next to you that was dealing with burnout right now, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would let them know that they are not alone, that there are many resources, but that the first thing that they can do is just give themselves some grace and say, I don't have to do it all. I don't have to even want it to do it all. I can just take a moment to breathe and do nothing.
Absolutely. I like that. To be able to just breathe and do nothing, to sit. I like that a lot.
Well, I want to put it out there. It seems kind of cheesy, but gratitude there's so much research behind this. I'm a scientist. I completely believe in the powers of your mind, and even some things that are generally considered kind of woo-woo, like manifestation. I honestly believe the science behind that. And so I always look into the research of, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And I know it's not all research based. That's just I was an engineer in undergrad, and now I'm a physician. And so I always sort of have that on my mind. That's one of my approaches. And of all the things that I've looked into, gratitude just stands out as something that will absolutely change your life. So if you can take some time at night, at the end of the day, and think of 3 things that you're grateful for. And not just, I'm grateful that I had a good meal, but I am grateful for that experience, and live it. I had this wonderful meal. It tasted like this. I appreciated it so much because, and then bring that into your gratitude practice, not just the what it is, but the why, and then relive it. And you're going to release those positive hormones in your brain again. And you're going to feel that experience. That's going to be another way to reduce your stress and just really feel happy. If you can do that 3 things at the end of each night, say it out loud, think it, write it down, whatever it takes to add that to your day will certainly change your life.
I like that. I like to have a practice of gratitude for myself. And I've seen how it changes my life and how it changes my day. Also, I start with gratitude and I end with gratitude, and it changes the day if I don't.
It really does. I like that, starting with gratitude also. That is definitely a great way to start the day, and just to wake up and say, wow, I'm just grateful. It's a great mindset.
And before going to bed, it's a great way to calm down and to relax and to bring those endorphins and those happy chemicals to our brain that will help our nervous system relax and get ready to go to sleep. So I love that advice. Now, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
I have a website. My husband and we started, like I said, it took a lot of work way back in, I think 2015 is when we really started looking into wellness, and we did some traveling, and we put together a website. and we called it wanderfounder.com. And the idea behind it is that if you're going to travel, wander, do it in a way that makes you happy or fonder. So it's wanderfounder.com and then /Kelly Carter MD. So that's where I have my coaching information. Aside from our travels and our plant-based recipes and books that we like, that's the main Wander Founder site. But that's my website. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I made a really great attempt at Instagram. If you like to check that out, that hasn't been my platform of success, but it's been interesting. So feel free to look for me there. And I can probably give the links for the show notes where you can see that. And so please feel free to message me on Facebook, connect with me on LinkedIn. And you can also sign up for my newsletter on the website, and you can get some more helpful tips.
Awesome. And can you spell your website and your name, just in case people aren't sure how to spell those things?
Absolutely. I often type it in wrong. So it's www.wanderfounder.com/KELLYCARTERMD. I think I forgot the .com. wanderfounder.com/Kelly Carter MD. I am happy to share with others so that they don't burn out or get into some terrible health situation. That's the unfortunate part of my job, is I'm so far downstream from people when they truly need the help. They've come in, they've already made the bad decisions in their life and already are at an end point. And then I have to try to say, okay, well, I'm going to give you some insulin for your diabetes that will help you right this moment. But now you have to go all the way back, change all of these things, and work with your doctor on this. But yeah, so whenever I can help people in a proactive way, especially people who are seeking the help, there are a lot of people who just want a magic cure. And if I can help somebody who's like, oh yeah, I want to help myself end burnout, like how am I going to do that? And they listen to your show, and then they find other shows that they like, where they can just bring in all that information and help themselves and get their accountability partner. And I'm just happy to do that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your expertise and knowledge with us. Thank you, audience, for listening to Kelly. And remember, there is a way through your difficulty. Please seek out resources and people who can and will help you. Now, if you're looking for alternative tools for handling difficult times or moving ahead in life, contact us at www.resiliency.coach. Hope you all have a blessed day and a wonderful life. Goodbye.